is a real estate transaction.
Okay, that's the planning. That's Uri's going to do.
Uri's, yeah.
That's the easy one. That's not with
Yeah, we
Gloria.
were checking.
Yeah.
Do you know about that? Little Gloria?
Thank you for coming.
No, I don't actually. Did I
Yeah, they lawyered up, and the lawyer basically,
to get the money?
yeah, but he's steering them in the wrong path. So they're going to get less than what they could have got.
If they didn't have the lawyers on.
Yeah, he's trying to bill them too. I don't think, but way of location fees.
That's not prudent.
No, I don't think so.
But yeah, sometimes people think they can get better off with an attorney, not knowing if they don't have the right attorney, it could really be not fair on their part.
Yeah, we've had it. We even judged a bunch of attorneys have been billing.
Is the city going to pay for it?
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, December 3rd, 2018.
Commissioner Garcia, Cabello, James, and Jacinto are present. President James, we do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Hector Banuelos, Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, Eddie Chavez, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning, Daniel McKay, Bureau of Sanitation.
Good morning, Brett McReynolds, Bureau of Contract Administration.
Reza Bagherzadeh, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning, Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we do not have any speaker cards under general public comment. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We did receive a speaker card on item number 3 for today's agenda.
Okay, well, apparently, just for the record, I think I started out by saying this was Friday, December 3rd. I was trying to jump us ahead to the end of the week, apparently. So it's, just for the record, it's Monday, December 3rd, and we will close general public comment as well as the Neighborhood Council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of Friday, November 2nd, 2018 by Commissioner Garcia? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. Agenda item number 7, Council District 11. The mayor has approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the memorandum of agreement with the Los Angeles Flood Control District for the maintenance of diversion structure associated with the Argo Drain Sub-Basin Facility Project. Is there a second to my motion that we approve agenda item number 7 forthwith? That's just coming back for signature. So, Commissioner Jacinto, any objection? Without objection, we'll approve agenda item number 7 forthwith. Agenda item number 6 forthwith. The Mayor and City Council have approved and authorized the Board of Public Works on behalf of the Bureau of Sanitation to execute the personal services contract with Golden Bell Products Incorporated for roach control and treatment services for the city's wastewater conveyance system for a term of 5 years at a cost not to exceed $955,000. Again, this is coming back for signature. Is there a second to my motion that we adopt agenda item number 6 forthwith? By Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we will do so. Agenda item number 4, Council District 13, Bureau of Street Services, is a tree removal 1200 through 3600 block of West Temple Street, recommending that the board first find that this complete street project, which includes tree removals, existing street, sidewalk, and gutter, involving negligible or no expansion of use beyond that previously existing, and does not involve the removal of a scenic resource, that the action is exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3. That's a category for existing facilities, sidewalk repair, or maintenance of the City of Los Angeles Environmental Quality Act guidelines from 2002, and 3, that none of the exceptions to the use of a categorical exemption as set forth in Section 15300.2 of the state CEQA guidelines apply, and secondly, review and approve the tree removal permit for the removal of 11 street trees, which includes 9 Indian laurel fig trees and 2 Hong Kong orchid trees, for the reconstruction of an off-grade sidewalk. Tree replacements are required. Mr. Banuelos, and you'll also let us know, Mr. Banuelos, about any of the trees that were able to be saved through the process of working on the project. And I note that Mr. Tyson is here as well. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney Dr. Campos, Hector Banuelos from the Bureau of Street Services, Urban Forestry Division. The Bureau of Engineering Complete Streets Division is responsible for implementing the city's Complete Streets program. The Bureau of Engineering identified Temple Street from Beverly Boulevard to Beaudry Avenue in the council districts of 1 and 13 as one of the Complete Streets projects. The project scope includes renewed paving, repair of damaged sidewalks, curb and gutter, and other related infrastructure improvements. One of the goals for the program is to ensure that safety, accessibility, and convenience are all of the transportation users, including pedestrians, transit riders, and motorists, is accommodated. The Complete Streets Division staff are working in close collaboration with the Bureau of Street Services arborists in addressing potential impacts to street trees of targeted areas within the identified Complete Streets areas. The Complete Streets Division contacted the Bureau in reference to the reconstruction of the off-grade sidewalks and curbs along the 1200 to the 3600 block of Temple Street. The Bureau arborists inspected the locations and posted the trees on April 17 of 2018. Inspection reveals there are 70 various species street trees growing along the corridors along the project limits. 11 of the street trees will be severely impacted by the project and will require removal. They measure approximately 10 to 30 inches in diameter by 14 to 60 feet in height and are growing in 4 feet parkways and tree wells with 5 to 9 feet sidewalks. 59 trees along the corridor will be retained in place.
Okay, 59 trees are retained in place. Also, Mr. Banuelos, it references that 52 of the street trees in the area will undergo trimming and root pruning?
Yes.
According to the board report. And 2 of the carrotwood trees that are being removed are dead trees. Is that correct?
There are 2 dead trees along the corridor, yes.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Of the 11 trees we identified for removal, there are 9 Indian laurel fig trees, which have severely outgrown their growing space, and defective sidewalks are prevalent in the area. There are 2 Hong Kong orchid trees are also being identified for removal, possess poor branch structure, and are low-growing with multiple tree trunks in the tree wells. The required root pruning to allow the 11 trees to remain will significantly and adversely affect the tree's health and root structural integrity, leaving them potentially unstable. Hence, the sidewalk reconstruction will require the removal of the 11 trees. Pursuant to City of Los Angeles, California Environmental Quality Act guidelines, the project is categorically exempt under Article 3, Section 1, Class 1, Category 3, and 20. The 13th Council District, the Community Forestry Advisory Committee, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment were informed of the tree removal request on September 6th of 2018. If approved, the Bureau of Street Services shall plant a total of 22 24-inch box size water gum, the Tristania laurina trees, along the Temple Street corridor, and the Bureau shall water the trees for a minimal 3-year period. Any questions?
There are no protected trees that are being removed, correct?
No, there are no protected trees.
Okay. And all of the tree removals, excuse me, Mr. Banuelos, all of the tree replacements are, it's all 2 to 1, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and they're being replaced in the area?
Yes, all along the corridor.
All right. And while this is in the record in the board report, I like the oral report to be complete as well. The Temple Street, it's a Complete Streets project. The goal of the Complete Streets program is to ensure that safety and accessibility and convenience of all transportation users, including pedestrians, transit riders, and motorists, is all accommodated. We're doing a number of these projects, of course, around the city, and they regularly require renewed paving, repair of damaged sidewalks and curb and gutter, and other related infrastructure repair and improvements that occasionally, when you do that work, you will run into a number of trees that cannot be saved in the project. Thank you to the Bureau, though, for the work that you did on retaining the trees that you have, which is the vast majority of these. Commissioner Davis?
The replacement policy on this particular motion is that it's 2 to 1, is that correct?
That is correct.
And in terms of the kind of tree that we have selected for replacement, what kind of tree is that, in fact?
That is the water gum. It's the Tristania laurina. It's an evergreen tree.
And what is the process in terms of our selection? Does it involve the inclusion of the council office in the decision-making process, or do we extend to other areas of input, or do we make it from the Bureau itself? I mean, I don't know if in this case, neighborhood associations were involved in it, the council office involved in it, or we just make the choice? How does that happen?
On this project, I'm not sure, but
see.
at times we do have interaction with the respective council offices and neighborhood councils where they may recommend or suggest a tree species, and we'll take that into consideration upon making our decisions of the tree replacements.
So we, in fact, did discuss our choice, our selection with the council office at least, right?
I'm not sure on this particular project. I could inquire with them and
Yeah, it
find out.
might be helpful to do that. I'm not so sure about the constituents who are impacted by our work on this particular project, but certainly we would want to make sure we run it by the council office for the purpose of input in case they have some kind of plans unique to the area in which we can complement that given, the decisions that we had to make to implement this project. So I think making sure that we get the council office's input on this would certainly take care of our obligation to ensure that there is input in on the decisions we make as we continue to improve the city. So I'd love to see that happen.
Okay, understood.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Hector, thank you for this, and President James, thank you for the overview of the Complete Streets program. The double benefit there that there is accessibility when we're fixing the sidewalks. We enable our access challenged community to be able to have more access and more throughfare. So I appreciate this. I also thank you for including the tree replacement samples as we had asked. So the water gum, there's two photos. There's one that's a smaller one, and then there's one that's a larger one. Hector, the larger one, how old is that specimen on this second page?
Not sure.
Okay,
Sure.
so we're taking out ficuses that have a lot of shade, and that's a public health additive in terms of shade and protection, managing that with the root issues. But this is also, it appears to be broadleaf, and so we'll have some shade benefit. I just wanted to know at what stage of its life. I don't know, Tim, if you know how old the specimen is to get an idea, but obviously it's going to take a while for the shade to be replaced, but these are broadleaf, so I believe that they're, as Commissioner Davis had said, that they're appropriate replacements. And so I support this because it has multiple benefits to our pedestrian, especially in terms of the sidewalk issues. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Just a point of clarification. In the board report, it references this Complete Streets project being in both CDs 1 and 13. My question, though, is if this is entirely the tree removal in CD 13, because it's so adjacent to the CD1 border, was CD1 also notified as well?
Of the removals, no. The CD13 was notified. All the removals are in CD13, in Council District 13.
My only concern is that because it is so adjacent to CD1, it's right there, that we may want to be thoughtful about that moving forward when you're right on the border of the council districts. Thank you.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cabello. So you referenced that the information from CD13, or the information being provided to Council District 13, as well as the Community Forest Advisory Committee and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. In response to any of those notifications, or did you receive any response to any of those notifications of concern or objection regarding the proposed tree removals?
There were a couple of, I believe on the tree remove notification, there were a couple entries in there. I'm not sure if they were either opposed to or for the project.
And were the trees posted?
Yes.
Okay. How long were the trees posted?
For a minimum 30-day period. They were posted back in April of this year.
Okay. And this can go forward with the granting of the tree removal permit, Hector, but to Commissioners Davis and Cabello's points, even though the council office had been notified, as we do with so many of these tree removals, we almost always have the consultation of whether we ask for it or people just are interested in it, always have their consultation in the selection of the replacement tree. So just a couple of things. One, conditionally, go back to CD13 and see if there's a preference of the available trees that the Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division has determined is an appropriate replacement tree. And to Commissioner Caballo's point, the Bureau could inquire with Council District 1 as well, even though the tree replacements aren't there. Commissioner Caballo, obviously, speaking from her experience as a former longtime council deputy, obviously that's something that the council offices like to know about.
Yes, will do.
Okay, great. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4. Is there a second? Seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. By the way, again, thank you for the photographs, more illustrative than they have been in the past, as well as for the replacement tree. These are, some of these routes are not unfamiliar with or not different from what we see around many of our sidewalk repair locations where the roots have just taken over the sidewalks. The sidewalks are crumbling and are therefore impassable, and they don't pass the ADA standard, of course. So thank you for bringing this, Hector.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We're clear on sending it forthwith as well, Dr. Campos?
Yes, we are.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead. We always do the oral reports last, as you know, but we have an oral report this morning that is related to trees, and we just did a tree removal. And colleagues, it's possible, I have to step out for, very unusually so, just a brief meeting and then come back if we, so we'll have to take a 10 to 15 minute recess at 10:45 if we're not done. But let's see, let's push through and see how we do. Mr. Tyson, on our city trees update, sir. The floor is yours.
Good morning, President James, Commissioners, Bureau Representatives, City Attorney, and Dr. Campos. The last few months, I'm going to talk about that as briefly as I can so that we won't hold you up. The previous annual...
Go ahead and give your report.
Okay.
Yeah, don't let, we can work around my brief exit if I have to make it. Go ahead.
I'll speak quickly. The previous annual budget allowed for the trimming of approximately 25,000 of 700,000 trees. The tree trimming contracts were one-year contracts with the city's option to renew for 2 additional years. The first-year option for fiscal year 16-17 was exercised and completed. 5 second-year renewal option contracts were executed and also completed. The 3 remaining second-year renewal options are in progress and are expected to be completed within the next 2 months. UFD staff identified and developed contract grids for the city forces for this fiscal year, 2018-2019. This fiscal year, the Bureau trimmed approximately 10,700 trees, has trimmed approximately 10,700 trees with current staffing levels. The Bureau is in the process of hiring 29 tree surgeons and other staff and acquiring more equipment needed to effectively put together 4 additional tree trimming crews to trim 25,000 trees by city forces annually. With our landscape, in the beginning of the fiscal year 17-18, the Bureau executed 4 landscape maintenance contracts for all the landscape medians. The Bureau executed the first-year renewal option for all 4 contracts this fiscal year, and the landscape contractor has been performing satisfactorily. Contract forces continue to provide bi-weekly service to all landscape median islands identified on contract and under the Bureau's purview. Hiring. Currently, the division has 140 employees, and we have recently held interviews for 29 tree surgeon positions and 12 tree surgeon assistant positions, which will be targeted local hires. They are currently undergoing medical, fingerprint, and background checks prior to being hired. The 7 vocational workers from LA Trade Tech program are in the process of obtaining their Class B license as a condition of becoming a tree surgeon assistant and completing their 1.5-year probation. We are currently certified for 8 vacant tree surgeon assistants, 6 equipment operators, 5 heavy-duty truck operators, and 4 light equipment operator positions. the $1 million on-demand funds, which is $1 million of the contracted money. We get $4.5 million a year to trim trees, and we get another $1 million for the $1 million on-demand funds, which is given to the Bureau so that we can evenly distribute $66,666 for each council district so that they can ask for certain things to be done in their council district on demand. That's why we call it the on-demand funds. Currently, to date, $534,280 have been expended out of the $1 million. From September 5th, 2018 to December 3rd, 2018, a total of 1,377 trees were trimmed, 83 dead trees were removed, and 101 stumps were removed, bringing the total for the fiscal year to 2,826 trees trimmed, 139 dead trees removed, and 212 stumps removed. Our technology. The Urban Forestry Division inspectors and tree crews began using tablets in the field in October of 2015. Field testing has begun to determine the speed at which these now older tablets connect to the internet versus the speed of newer tablets. Tablets have a built-in obsolescence, which requires their replacement every 3 to 5 years. Older tablets have slower speed due to the memory being filled by updates, and RAM cannot keep up with the faster internet up and download speeds. The batteries begin to lose their capacity, and keeping the device charged becomes a problem. Slower tablets cause a slowdown in production. The Bureau has plans to replace the older tablets with newer ones in several phases over the next year. Tree planting. With the decline of our tree population throughout the city of Los Angeles, it is imperative that we continue to work hard to reestablish our tree canopy. The Urban Forestry Division's goal is to plant as many trees in vacant locations throughout the city as can be planted. Our goal also is in the right tree for the right location, going back to the tree that was selected for the Complete Streets program, but we will check with the council office as been requested to see if they're okay with that tree selection. We're trying to put trees in that give us the largest shade canopy cover that we can. In collaboration with city plants, we are moving towards that goal. In the last quarter, we have planted a total of 464 trees. Again, I recommend that we need to plant a total of around 10,000 trees annually going forward for the next 10 years. We need to double how many trees we're planting in order to successfully get all locations that can be planted, and replace trees that have died, succumbed to diseases, all kinds of things like that. It's an ongoing effort. It'll never stop. Emergency work. Division had 2,682 total calls for emergency-related work that were all completed. The division also closed 1,233 obstructions and trimmed 85 trees to accomplish this. The division continues to strive forward in reducing the response time for emergency services. The current response time is still 1/2 of a day. That's for the initial response to any emergency that's called in. This is the same as the last reporting period to include a wind event that's taking place during this reporting period. The division has been in the green for over last year or more with regard to our CompStat figures, which is the way we measure our response times. Green being good. For fiscal year 17-18, the division had a total of 16,297 tree emergency requests and 9,763 tree obstruction requests. Our goal is to maintain this outstanding service to our constituents. Our tree removal crews, Crew 76 and 78. The tree removal crews, whose primary mission is the removal of dead and diseased city parkway trees. These crews rotate to each council district to ensure needed tree removals are performed equally citywide. These crews remove the entire tree and stump at the same time, which allows a potential planting site to be opened up. The goal for fiscal year 17-18 was 800 tree and stump removals. Crew 076 accomplished the goal of 958 removals and 1,124 stumps. For fiscal year 18-19, a new crew was added, Crew 078. For this quarter, Crews 076 and 078 completed 253 tree removals and 264 stumps. In addition to Crews 076 and 078, the Urban Forestry Division has crews assisting in performing tree and stump removals. This is done in grids that have been contracted, trimmed by city forces with on-demand funding, thereby bringing the grids into a safe state of repair. From the start of the fiscal year, these assisting crews have removed 124 trees and 24 stumps. The grand total to date for all the crews are 675 removals and 810 stumps this fiscal year. UFD has submitted a concept proposal for a CAL FIRE grant as of the 29th of December. This is a $1 million grant, if awarded, to help hire consultants to figure out the software systems needed that will work integratedly with our CRM, our Customer Relation Management System, and Navigate LA, and give us the software program we need for an inventory. UFD contract status update. Tree trimming. The previous annual budget allowed for the trimming of approximately 25,000. I think I did that one, sorry. Current sidewalk repair program. The sidewalk repair program, Bureau of Street Services Urban Forestry Division is currently working on the following bid packages. BSS bid package number 8, the following 3 sites have been approved by board and on hold until further notice by Chief Forester and the City Attorney. The Cherokee locations right now are on hold, and we've come up with a way to root prune the trees, trim the trees. It's going to be a phase type, phase by phase, because we have to wait for the trees to rebound back with new growth before the root pruning can be done. And that will be a report going before City Council soon.
Some of those Cherokee trees, though, Tim, are going to be saved, correct?
14 out of the 18 we're going to try to save. There's 4 that are very questionable, and until the sidewalk lid, is what we call it, is removed, we can't make a really good risk assessment on how the roots are under there. So it's all about risk, and we don't want to have, we want to minimize the risk to where we feel comfortable the trees will not fail. We're going to be making sidewalks smaller. We're going to be doing things outside the box.
Okay. Well, we have to meet the ADA requirements. I mean, when we were there on a site visit, you were there with me.
Absolutely.
And with the council office.
Yep.
We saw a woman with a baby carriage with twins that she had to walk out with her carriage into the street.
And the last time I was there to do this last site
Sidewalks
visit,
were so buckled. Yeah.
we had a handicapped person who was going down the street with his dog, and he came up and sat and talked with us for a while, which was nice, and it's completely non-passable.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So but it's going to have to be done in phases if they want to save the trees. Remember, the trees are not going to be preserved; they will be retained. We will have to do work to the trees. The trees are going to be trimmed much smaller in order to root prune them, and this is a report that will be given to council soon.
Okay.
Bid package 9 consists of 18 sites. 17 trees have been planted. There are 9 trees left to be planted to complete the site. Bid package 10 consists of 18 sites. 7 live trees were removed, 3 dead trees removed. 17 trees were planted for this reporting period on this, and 3 trees are still pending planting to complete that site. Bid package 11 consists of 27 sites. All sites are currently being assessed by our UFD crew, Urban Forestry Division. BSS summary. Urban Forestry Division has assigned city plants 181 tree for replants from September 2018 through December 2018. City plants and partners have planted 113 trees. Sidewalk rebate request. The Bureau of Street Services and Urban Forestry Division has inspected 87 rebate inspection sites, and 4 of those rebate sites pending inspection in queue for 3 days. UFD has issued 2 tree removal permits. The Bureau of Engineering summary. Bureau of Engineering is working on bid package 38, which consists of 3 sites in which UFD assessed and processed all permits. There were 2 live tree removals and 4 replants have been planted, and it's completed. Access request assessments performed by BSS and UFD. 48 total locations expected by Urban Forestry Division from September 2018 to present. Complete streets, Measure M projects. Roscoe Boulevard from the 405 freeway to Woodman. 30 trees were root pruned and trimmed. They were saved. Venice Boulevard from Arlington to Figueroa. 11 live trees will need to be removed. 39 trees will be saved, trimmed, and root pruned. 22 replants are still pending. Temple Street from the 110 freeway to Beverly Boulevard. It's the one we just talked about. So going on to one last thing, we have the cash in lieu program, which to date I'll let Dr. Campos talk about the when we started, and I'm going to pull something up on my phone here real quick that I can give you some numbers. Please, Dr.
We just had a tree removal in here, Tim. I think it was the last tree removal that came before the Board of Public Works was a tree removal where we were able to utilize the fee. What is the fee, the name of the fee that was drafted in the ordinance, Dr. Campos?
Yeah, good morning, Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. The fee is the tree replacement guarantee in lieu fee, which was adopted by City Council back in May of 2018. That ordinance became effective July 5th, 2018. And basically what that ordinance does, it allows this board to make an assessment and on recommendation by the Urban Forestry Division to decide whether you can replace that tree on site if it's feasible or not feasible. If it's not feasible, this board would then make that determination and make a recommendation to the City Council to use the in lieu fee. The in lieu fee has three components. The first component is trees that are being removed for a planning project. Those tree replacement in lieu guarantee fee is $2,612. Again, those are for just tree replacements for planning projects. That does not come before this board. However, the two remaining elements in the tree replacement guarantee program has the Public Works right-of-way tree removals, and there's two. There's one where you has a fee of $1,945 for trees that cannot be replaced on site, and then also we have a subsidized or what we call a lower fee, which is $267 for trees that cannot be replaced on site, but it's only for specific projects that have 4 units or less, basically a residential project. Those two last elements are before this board, and you have actually done two in the last 6 months. One is at 100 South Grand Avenue in Council District 14, and the other was on 333 South Mapleton Drive. So in total, over the last...
Mapleton was the most recent, correct?
Mapleton was the most recent, and let me pull up the date. I believe that was November 14, 2018.
Okay. Were you going to say something else? I'm sorry. Let me just say, just by way of background as well, the policy came into the building through a number of different ways, but it was in partnership with environmental groups, with the planning department, as well as with developers that were all interested in increasing the urban tree canopy. The purpose of this tree replacement fee that it was called an in lieu fee, which I think led people the wrong way, because in lieu led people to think that, oh, well, instead of replanting trees, the city's just accepting funds. That's not what the purpose of the fee is, so it was misnamed in that respect.
Yeah, right.
The purpose of the fee was to find a way for the city to replant replacement trees in other areas that in the event that the existing location did not have the capacity of those trees. So what we were seeing over and over again was projects that were coming in, and with our 2-to-1 replacement or our 4-to-1 replacement when we're dealing with a protected tree, the area did not have the capacity to hold those new replacement trees to that level. So we had these excess trees that were being sent to what was at the time a street services nursery, and that inventory was just piling up. And that wasn't the purpose of that didn't help us with increasing the tree canopy in the city. So we came up with this process to enable the project applicant to pay the fee, which then enables the city to plant those trees in other areas that aren't necessarily adjacent to the actual project. Now, what we do try to do is get our replacement trees, and we're doing this with every tree removal now, getting our replacement trees as close to the affected area as possible. But what this so-called in lieu fee or tree replacement
guarantee fee, yes,
enables us to do is to not fill up the nursery. It enables us to plant those trees throughout the city.
And the main thing is to make sure that the trees are planted in the ground, and that's the main goal, is to make sure we're replacing the trees, planting the trees in the ground, and not sending them to an alternate site. So that's the main goal in working with the development community, working with the mayor's office, working with the planning department, and other departments along with BSS and our board. The main goal is making sure that the tree gets in the ground and planted in the ground, and that we're replacing and expanding our urban canopy.
And it's a new program. Dr. Campos, how much money has come in so far? I saw that there was an inquiry on that, and so I have an email. It's around $40,000?
There is. I'll give you the numbers, and then Tim Tyson can provide you the breakdown in terms of which council districts. But in total, since July to the present, we've received $48,093. This represents about 67 trees that are going to be replaced, and these are all trees for the Public Works Department. No trees at this point have been, or no deposits have been received for the Planning Department at this time. So again, the $48,093 is for Public Works only, and then Mr. Tyson can provide you the details in terms of which council district that those trees lie.
One moment before you do that, just a point of procedure. I've been notified that it's time for me to step out for my emergency meeting. So our President Pro Tem, Dr. Davis, will continue with the oral report. And then after the oral report, we'll take a quick recess, just a few minutes until I'm back for the voting items. Commissioner Cabello, you had a question.
Just a quick question for Dr. Campos. Who's responsible for the tree replacement fee once the trees are replaced and planted elsewhere in the vicinity? Who's responsible for watering?
If I may. Right. If I may, I'll finish the report on the cash in lieu. As Dr. Campos explained very well, and as well as President James, it's $1,945 for the one fee, which actually purchases a 15-gallon tree, the wooden stakes, the rubber ties, and pays the Urban Forestry Division to water the tree for 3 years. The $267 fee, which is the fee for the basically 4 units or less or residential, where it's just pretty much homeowners that are wanting to fix their own sidewalks, and they have one tree there that cannot remain. They got to replace it with two. There's not room enough to replace it with two. So the second tree is a $267 fee, which purchases the tree, the wooden stakes, and the rubber ties. And Urban Forestry will be watering the trees for 3 years and planting them, as well as planting the $1,945 tree. Now, back when the economy recession happened, this division went down to 90 people. And that's when the trees started to stack up into our nursery because we no longer had tree planting crews. So this was the idea of stopping trees going to a nursery, which could end up dying at the nursery and never getting planted. So rather than have that, here's the money. Once it's approved where we're going to plant them, we go buy the trees, we put them right in the ground, and it'll never die. And we don't have to try to keep it alive with people at a nursery until that time comes. So one of the great things that happened in our budget requests is we were approved 2 watering crews, and we were approved a tree planting crew, which we're going to need to plant these trees. And also trees that go back into the grids where we've trimmed all the trees and removed all the dead trees and stumps, and we want to replant those areas too and get trees planted. As I said, we need to be planting 10,000 trees a year over and above replacement trees. Okay. We had somewhere around 100,000 vacant locations in the city when I became the chief forester. Now, right now, we have a little bit difference of numbers, Dr. Campos and I. But right now, the total amount that's come in is $49,659, 65 trees total, 2 trees in CD Council District 2, 5 trees in Council District 4, 6 trees in Council District 5, 16 trees in Council District 6, 2 trees in Council District 9, 2 trees in Council District 10, 8 trees in Council District 11, 2 trees in Council District 12, 6 trees in Council District 13, and 16 trees in Council District 14. So we're keeping track of the trees, where they come from. That way the trees can be replanted back in the corresponding council district areas, And as was stated, maybe not right adjacent to the project where the trees were removed, because maybe that area is all filled. But also we can start targeting lower canopied areas in the city and start doing group plantings in those kind of areas where we can start bringing our canopy level up in those areas and lower the heat island effect.
Did that answer your question, Commissioner Cabello? Okay. I want to thank you for your report, and I have a couple of questions that deal with the organizational change that should have taken place given the actions that we've had recently from City Council for increased staff. You did mention that we've had additional tree assistants or staff.
Yes.
Or employees within the division. Approximately how many teams are those that we've added since the council?
Approved for the budget?
Yes.
It's 4 tree trimming crews.
And how many of those have we actually hired?
We haven't hired any of them yet. We just went through tree surgeons, picked them all up, but they got to go through background and everything like that. So we are interviewing. We're bringing in all these different candidates. We're getting them into the process. We're going as fast as our personnel can get it done.
Let me ask you this. What is our goal in terms of completing that particular task to follow through with the hiring of those individuals?
Well, for me, it's a huge goal, and I want to make sure it happens. And that's why we started trimming trees before we even started hiring employees.
When I ask you goal, I mean a date certain that you are at least looking towards. Doesn't mean that you might not necessarily have challenges along the way. But do we have an administrative goal, for example, that maybe by March we expect that we will have completed the project? Doesn't mean that something might not come along the way, and we know in administration that these things happen. But what I'm concerned with here is, does the administration of tree trimming of urban forestry have a goal in terms of when they'd like to accomplish the completion of the selection
of the hiring
of the additional 4 teams which we were granted by the City Council?
Well, we've already interviewed all the tree surgeons. We've already interviewed all the targeted
But that answer would be like
Well, I'll get to my answer in a second.
It would be like a March.
We've already interviewed all the targeted local hiring. So all of those employees have been interviewed. It's a matter of them going through the background checks. And the tree surgeons, we've interviewed all them already. So, I'd like to see this done by, like you just suggested, March.
Okay.
That would be the goal that I would have by the end of the next quarter.
Okay. The other question I have is, you mentioned in terms of the technology that we're using in terms of the improvements of tablets.
Yes.
And how many tablets are we using? Approximately. This is not a specific.
I'd
but
say
just a
somewhere right
ballpark.
around 30.
Okay, so we have 30 tablets, and we've talked about some of the challenges on performing of those tablets. Are all of the tablets from the same manufacturer? Are all of them Dell tablets or whatever the...
We keep advancing as time goes by. The older tablets get turned in once they're non-functional anymore, and we keep getting upgrades, and we keep moving along with how it's working on the outside, trying to keep up with new technology.
Would it be accurate to say that of the 30 tablets that we have in the Urban Forestry Division, that we have a mixed batch of tablets, if you will, from various different manufacturers, if you will? Is that true?
No, I think it's all pretty much one type of tablet. But
what kind of tablet is that?
I don't have one personally because I've had to and had to give them back to the employees.
Do you know who it's by? Do you know who the tablet is by? Who's the man? Who's the person on the tablet?
Who makes our tablets?
Is it Apple? Is it Dell? Is it?
LG.
And they're all the same.
When we get them, they're all the same.
Now they're all the same. However, in terms of the addition that we have of them, in terms of technology, we bought them at different years, so the capacity of each one of them differs. Is that correct?
They get better as time progresses.
So that then all of the ones that we have on use in our 30 inventory, all of them don't have the same capacity.
Some have more capacity than the older ones, yes. And, I have to tell you, these tablets are getting used like they intended tablets to be used. They get used very hard.
Okay, would it be realistic to say that some of the older tablets are not performing at the same level that some of the newer tablets are in our inventory?
That's correct. And when we turn them in, we get upgraded.
What would you say generally in terms of our inventory of tablets are the status of our tablets. Are the majority of them of new technology, or are the majority of them of the old technology?
We're moving in more over to the new technology now from the
So
very
that means
first
that the
ones.
majority of them are the old technology.
Majority of them are the newer technology.
The majority of our tablets are the newer technology.
Right.
And so we have a few that are of the old technology.
Right, that are still hanging around.
And that are perhaps maybe the stumbling block for achieving our goal.
No, I don't think that's going to be a stumbling block for our, achieving our goals. No.
You don't think the
Not
old,
at all.
You don't think the old tablets are
As
not
the
effective?
tablet dies, it can perfectly do the functions, and as the tablets die, we get the new functioning ones that we're in wherever we are right now with the ones that we've been given. And then when we start turning in these other ones, we're going to be upgraded to the next level.
So basically you're saying that our current inventory of tablets is just fine.
They are being upgraded as they die. As soon as they die, we bring them in, they don't work anymore, they start not working properly, we get them traded in and we get newer ones.
You mentioned in terms of city plants, you working with them, we're collaborating with them in terms of our placing trees in the city generally. Some 10,000 trees to plant annually is our goal, correct?
That would be my personal goal, I said. This is the personal goal I have to see.
And that's good. And I'm just clarifying that that is the case. What do you think we are able to do with the current resources? Or maybe should I ask you this way? What are we doing to help to achieve your goal of the 10,000 per year? I know that we are a little behind based upon what we have done in the past. However, as we look forward in terms of being able to achieve this goal that has been set by leadership, and that means you, what have we done to be able to achieve this 10,000 trees that ought to be appropriate goal for us? What have we done?
Well, working towards that, Commissioner Davis, is we put in budget requests for tree watering crews and tree planting crews so that Urban Forestry Division actually has crews that can help plant trees as well. That's part of moving forward towards these goals.
When you say we've put forth new watering crews?
We haven't hired these people yet, but we were approved in the budget for these crews. That's what, in other words, we put them in our budget, they were approved, and that's part of going forward to get more trees planted.
So then, therefore, in terms of us achieving the goal that you discussed in your report, it is critically important that we achieve the earlier goal that we just discussed between you and myself in terms of making sure that we reach that March deadline to get those crews up, because that directly impacts our achieving our overall goal that we said that we ought to be at as a city in the Urban Forestry Division.
Absolutely.
So if we're going to achieve that, we're not able to achieve that without having obtained the March goal that you and I discussed. And so we will, in our next report that you give to us, expect that we can see some progress towards that.
Towards the hiring,
towards that goal.
absolutely.
The other thing, we talk about emergency work that we do. In terms of the emergency work, how is that achieved? Is there a on-call list for emergency work in the Division of Urban Forestry?
The customer-related management system is where all the calls are received from our clientele or our property owners. When they see a tree down, they call it in, and within a half a day, we respond to the first response, as I talked about in our response times, how many 16,000 emergencies in a year.
Let me ask you
this is one of our priorities that we do on a daily basis, 24/7. There's a list for people to be called out at night when you're sleeping in bed. There's all of these things.
Sure, but here's my concern. When we do our emergency work, is it done by city staff or is it done by contractors, or is it a combination of the two?
No, it's all city staff.
So only city staff. So now we go back to not having let me put it this way. When we hire our additional staff that we've been approved by the council to hire, we will be able to increase the progress that we've made on emergency work. Is that correct?
Everything will increase because I utilize everybody in all the capacities, so everything will increase at the same time. To give you an idea.
No, I get it. I have a great idea. And so I can't overemphasize how critically and important it is for us to dedicate our leadership time in the urban forestry division towards achieving our goal for March. Because it directly impacts the goals that you've talked about that we have underperformed on, and we know why. My final concern is one that deals with some of the external factors that we often experience in urban forestry, and that is the environmental community. And it seems as if their core value is, what are we doing to preserve trees? In every case presenting, we often have a challenge. So, for example, we may have a proposal where we're going to get rid of 50 trees, and often we get some feedback from the environmental community of, can we save those trees? As the leader of our urban forestry division, can you discuss with me overall, summarily, where do you think we are in this last quarter in terms of tree preservation? Have we been able to accomplish tree preservation? What has been our progress to that end?
Well, tree preservation, there's two types of saving trees. There's tree preservation where you don't touch the tree at all. And there's retaining trees where you may have to trim the tree, you may have to prune roots. You have to remember all the trees that we're looking at in the public right-of-way are in very limited growing areas. Okay? So when we look at trees there for sidewalk repair or curb repair, and you start talking about retaining those trees because you may need to root prune them, and if you have to severely root prune them and the tree is going to become unstable and fall over or die from that root pruning, then it's not the right thing to say, let's save that tree. It's better to remove the tree, get new trees back in so that we can replace that canopy cover within a few years by planting more trees. And this is going to be an ongoing thing with sidewalk repair.
Sure.
There's no room for the tree roots to go anywhere else. And trees were planted many years ago that were not today selected for the size of the parkway that we have today. Trees were planted indiscriminately anywhere. Put them in the ground. They grow great. Down here, put all these ficus trees in. Didn't have to water them hardly or anything. Now the trees are 45 feet tall, 60 feet wide, and there's no way that you can save that tree, even though ficus tree is one of the trees that could be root pruned.
Over the last quarter, would you say that we've made any progress on tree preservation?
Yes.
Okay.
We actually, one of the board reports we brought in here were at 48th Street, which is one of the places that had the appeal about the CEQA, which was shot down. We are actually going to save one of those 6 trees.
Okay, thank you. Now, that's going to be
so we're working on
that's
doing
gonna be
our due diligence where we can, where we feel that the risk that's being taken
okay,
is
I'm going to
life.
conclude. You've answered my question. I'm going to conclude right here and just say that that question will be a repeated question in terms of a challenge to our urban forestry division from me. And with that, our Commissioner, Aura Garcia, has some questions for you as well.
Just me. Hi, thank you, President Pro Tem Davis. Tim, I have a question regarding your hiring situation. Can you tell me where is the breakdown? It seems like you guys did your part. You interviewed, you hired, you have people on the list, but then we have no final answer as to when they'll actually get on site and be on a crew and ready to work.
Well, if I could utilize one list, just let me utilize one list. It's called the supervisor list, which I'm still in need of supervisors, and that's the hardest positions to get filled. The list consists of mostly Department of Water and Power tree surgeons that want to become supervisors. The list does not die until 2019. I have served the list 4 times, and I've interviewed some of the same people using the same questions more than twice, and they were non-select or they didn't do very well. I've requested that there be a new exam given and we get a new list because I know every time we cert the list, they call the Water and Power and they're not going to come here. So I can't hire people on the list that don't want to come here. This is one of the breakdowns. That's one of the places that, as you could see, I said we've interviewed already all the tree surgeons and all the targeted local hires. There's tons of people that want to get on the list and want a job and want to work, and we want them to come on board. It's when you get into the higher positions that I need those supervisors to oversee the crews that I'm hiring so they can be effectively managed by a supervisor. And one of the other downfalls in this, and I'll say it openly because I'm an honest guy, is I was given about $1 million to buy equipment for all these crews, and I need $6.5 million to buy the equipment that's going to be needed for these crews to be effective. However, I'm going to do it in a way that hasn't been talked about, and I'm going to make them effective because we're not going to fail. But I still need that equipment so they can be more effective in the future.
Understood. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to hear exactly, and so I take it it's not really on your side,
It's all about
background side of this.
Yeah, it takes time to bring people in. It takes time to get a list. They have to do exams, and then if you've sorted the list 3 or 4 times and you can't get anybody off of it, then there you go.
Then we need to find another way outside of this
They need to cancel that list. They need to re-give an exam because all that process takes a year.
Right.
So the sooner they would do that, then the sooner there would be a new list of potential employees that could be hired.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that.
No worries.
Thank you. I'm back. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Thank you for giving me my few minutes away to take care of that other business. Commissioner Jacinto.
Thank you, President James. Tim, thank you for your report. It's clear your passion, your seniority, and your willingness to be responsive to all the external issues when I bring them to you are much appreciated. So I want to appreciate you for that too. You talked about a lot of things. You talked about the sidewalk repair program, complete streets, and how the urban forestry division is really interrelated in all those scopes of work, and that is excellent. Tomorrow we have a very important report coming from DUDEC. Preview a little bit about how you're going to look at that report, its recommendations, and not how it may or may not guide your prioritization and or actions or recommendations moving forward. Tim, please.
Well, I don't want to jump before that report is, put out. I actually was last week at the American Society of Consulting Arborists conference down in San Diego, where I ran into 3 or 4 of the gentlemen that worked on the report, and we had some nice long conversations. Interesting the way the report was written. It kind of would say one thing and then it would explain it. And if someone doesn't read that report completely, they'll miss out on what's actually being said. One of the things that is a major thing about the report is the inventory, which I talked about that we put in for a CAL FIRE grant, a proposal we put in right now. As I was in council and was told that the last time I put in a budget request I was told no, go get a CAL FIRE grant. So we're going to try that right now because we need to find a consultant who can put together the kind of software that will integrate with the customer relation management system as well as update Navigate LA simultaneously. And when the requests come in on the customer relation management system, they'll come directly to our software program, which will also have all the inventory on it. And then that way we can update and keep track of the trees, kind of like a doctor does with a patient. You have to be able to keep track of all these things that happen with trees, especially with claims, and then you can utilize that inventory system to plan out your work. It'll be a great tool.
So Tim, thank you. I know you previewed the report, and it'd be interesting to have you come on back the next old report or status report to say, well, based on that DUDEC report, how is our city? And you're not the only one. You're interrelated with all the mayor's office, all the council offices, so it'll be interesting. But I know you're engaged. I want to thank you for that, Tim.
Thank you. Any other questions? The oral report will be received. Thank you, Mr. Tyson.
Thank you.
We'll see you next quarter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Won't be retired anytime soon.
No, don't say that word, Mr. Tyson. All right. Good to see you then. Now we can go back to our voting items on the agenda. Agenda item number 5 is a substitution, subcontractor substitution, Trimming Land Company Incorporated, recommending the board concur with the action of Commissioner Davis, approving the request of Trimming Land Company for the subcontractor substitution of IECLT Incorporated with Trimming Land's own forces for the tree trimming in the parkways of Rochester Avenue from Beverly Glen to Veteran Avenue and other certain streets. The option 2 renewal for Whitworth Drive between Robertson and Beverly Drive and certain other streets project. Mr. Espindola. Good morning,
Yes,
sir.
good morning. George Spindola with the Bureau of Contract Administration. The Bureau received a request on October 1st, 2018 from Trimland Company Incorporated to substitute their approved subcontractor, i.e. CLT Incorporated, a OBE contractor, for tree trimming with Trimland Company, its own forces, a MBE LBE contractor. The request was accompanied by a letter from IECLT Incorporated withdrawing for their portion of the work. IECLT Incorporated is unable to fulfill the project work requirements. The listed amount for IECLT Incorporated is $17,019. Trimland Company Incorporated will perform the work for the same amount. Therefore, this substitution is at no cost to the city. The Bureau concurs with the recommendation of Commissioner Davis to approve the substitution.
Any questions at all regarding this substitution of subcontractor? I don't have any questions. That's Commissioner Davis's motion. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 5. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We'll send number 5 forthwith. Agenda item number 3, change order number 9, Ventura Boulevard Sidewalk Improvement Project. Recommending that we authorize the city engineer to issue change order number 9 in the amount of $186,450.83 for the project to Alameda Construction Services Incorporated to design and construct additional curb, gutter, and sidewalk. Mr. Sodoza, hi.
Good morning. Here to request authority to issue change order number 9 to Alameda Construction for design and construction of additional curb and gutter and sidewalk, not to exceed amount of $186,450.83 for Ventura Boulevard project. During construction and design of this project, there was some scope modification resulted in $60,000 and $56. And also we didn't spend the contingency we had of 10%, which was $126,000. After the original scope of work was completed, the Council District 2 requested to construct an additional 275 linear of sidewalk, curb, and gutter along Ventura Boulevard, east of Colfax Avenue. The project funding is through Ventura Coanga Special Funds, Trust Fund. And also, I'd like to mention that Alameda Construction has been really good to work with. They're a small DBA construction. They have done a great job, and their quality work is really good and easy to work with. So,
great. Any? Well, we'll start with Commissioner Cinto on questions on this.
Thank you, President James. Thank you, sir, for this report. Understand the funding. We had some cost savings that we're able to utilize, and we did not actually have to ask for more money above the authorized contract because we had some savings, and the additional scope of work is what triggered the change order, correct?
Correct.
So we're able to serve the council member and Council District 2 on this with the additional scope of work, and we're just having a little bit of higher costs because of that additional scope of work. Great, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Jeff Yazetta from Council District 2. Jeff, how are you? You work in the field office, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay, welcome back.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. Just wanted to say that the councilman supports the change order. It's been great working with the Bureau of Engineering and with Alameda Construction. We have worked closely with the businesses in the western side of Studio City along Ventura Boulevard, and we've provided a really great improvement as far as the sidewalks go. So we'd like to see this extended in the east side of Studio City as well, where the sidewalks need improvement. So thank you.
Great, thank you, sir. We appreciate you taking the time to come down today. It's always nice to know when the council office is, if they want to weigh in on this. Very helpful for us. Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cinto?
Make a motion.
Okay. Commissioner Cinto's motion, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we will adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Mr. Yazetta, thank you for your patience. We had to put the oral report first because we had a news crew that wanted to get the full story, so I rearranged some things to accommodate them. Thank you. Agenda item number 2, Council District 14, property acquisition, Cesar E. Chavez Avenue, Lorena Street, Indiana Street intersection improvements project. It's right-of-way, number 33709. Mr. Jimenez, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good morning. Udi Jimenez, Chief Real Estate Officer, Bureau of Engineering, Real Estate Division.
Let me just read into the record the request recommending that the board authorize the city engineer or his designee to approve payment for eligible space planning and architectural services and permit fees related to the relocation of La Jolla Tortilleria? Bingo. Of La Jolla Tortilleria from 3283 East Cesar E. Chavez Avenue, Los Angeles 90063 to 460 North Ford Boulevard, East Los Angeles, California 90022. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to request Los Angeles Department of Transportation Accounting Division to draw a demand in the amount of $17,179.70 payable to La Jolla Tortilleria Incorporated to cover the cost needed for the project. Mr. Jimenez.
Good morning. Udi Jimenez, Bureau of Engineering, Real Estate Division. I'm here to ask the board to authorize payment for space planning for the relocation of La Jolla, which is one of two tortillerias that are going to be relocated for the Cesar Chavez project. As part of the process of approving these relocation payments, we've reviewed the space planning cost and permit fees that have been incurred by the owner and have found them to be actual, reasonable, and necessary for the relocation. This is the beginning of the process. Later on, we're going to come back to the board ask for authorization for the actual relocation costs over and above the planning and permit costs that we're asking for now. This is a preliminary expense that is incurred in order to plan the move and to be able to reconnect all of the machines that are going to be moved and reestablish the business at the replacement site.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Jacinto, we'll start with you.
Yeah, Woody, good to see you on this one. This is the other one.
That's right.
The other one. And so...
It's a little less expensive, though.
It's only planning.
Okay.
We have gotten there.
So far.
But the important thing to note, Woody, and I'm glad you put it in the report, that this is about the expenses that the owner has incurred.
Correct.
And that these are reimbursements received, correct?
So the actual permits have been paid for. The actual space planner has billed us, and we're paying on the bill.
Okay, and that's important to establish as a procedure an allowable and reasonable and fair cost, correct? Okay, so I just wanted to make that. Thank you for bringing this to. Sure. Hopefully this will move forward and set a precedence in a way for other types of relocation to follow.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacinto. Commissioner Cabello.
Thank you, President James. Mr. Jimenez, I have no issue with this item whatsoever. I'm very, very familiar with this intersection where Cinco Puntos is. I'm wondering if there is a related LADOT report you can maybe help me find, because number one, roundabouts really concern me. I have problems on really understanding roundabouts, and I think for that particular intersection, I'd love to see the stats related to, I know it's nothing to do with you and nothing to do with this item, I understand that, but if you can help me find any DOT report related to it, and a conversation I'll have with LADOT as well, related to the roundabouts, the stats justifying it, the outreach and education that the community would need on that. I'd appreciate it.
Sure, I'd be happy to get you whatever information I could find.
I appreciate it.
Great, thank you, Mr. Jimenez. Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. I have a just clarification question. We are today, if this gets voted on, authorizing two payments, one of planning and architectural services, and then one from the LADOT. Am I right?
Well, this is an LADOT project, so we're asking that the board approve the payment, which is going to be made by LADOT. So it's the same payment. But the payment is going to be for space planning and permits that have already been paid for.
What's the total? I have a 17,000, but it's that the actual total?
That's a total for both of the space planning and architectural fees and the permits that have been paid to date.
Okay, so far we are going to reimburse 17,000 so far.
Correct.
And is this the beginning?
This is the very beginning of it. So what happens is that once a business is displaced, they hire a space planner or architecture person to figure out how to move the machines, and reconnect them at the replacement site. And that takes into account more than simple drawings. They have to make sure that there's enough capacity in terms of electricity and things like that.
Right.
So it takes into account some technical issues that have to be addressed by the architect. And so this, once we know how the machines and where they're going to go, how they're going to be moved and where they're going to go, then this is an eligible expense. And then after that comes the actual, possibly have to add outlets or water lines, gas lines to actually reconnect the machines. And those costs are going to be incurred at a later date.
Got it. And that will come before us as well.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Santos made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2, seconded by Commissioner Cabello. Thank you, Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you.
Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We will send number 2 forthwith. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk other than agenda item number 1?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then I will yield the seat to you for agenda item number 1. You can do it from over there, but call number 1. Number 1 is a special election for the Board of Public Works Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. There's only 2 times in the year that I take this chair, and one is in July, the last meeting in July for the election of officers for this board, and also on occasion when we have a special election like we do today. So as required by the city charter and pursuant to the board rules of the City of Los Angeles Board of Public Works, Chapter 4, Elections and Appointment of Officers, Board Rule 29 and also Board Rule 30, the board shall elect one of its officers, one of its members, as president and vice president, respectively, by a majority vote by open ballot. On November 4th, 2018, the former vice president and Commissioner Repenning resigned as board member of the Board of Public Works. Subsequently, on November 26, 2018, newly appointed Commissioner Cabello joined the Board of Public Works. Therefore, based on the recent changes, the elected officer position of Vice President is vacant and requires an election and appointment up to this office. Commissioners, are there any nominations for the position of Vice President of the Board of Public Works?
Yes, Dr. Campos, thank you. Commissioner James, I nominate Commissioner Cecilia Cabello to the position of Vice President, and I do so for the following reasons. If you've listened in even or have been even to our meetings in just the time that she's been here, you know, as we said in her first meeting, Commissioner Cabello comes to the Board of Public Works with likely more experience, I think, than any new commissioner joining the Board of Public Works, city experience in recent memory when I look back at the new appointments to the Board of Public Works, rivaling maybe only recently Commissioners Szabo, former Commissioners Szabo and Repenning on their longtime direct city service. Commissioner Cabello served as a council deputy for then council member and council president Garcetti. She also served Mayor Garcetti in the External Affairs Office, the Office of Intergovernmental Relations. She's also served the Controller as the Controller's Chief of Staff, and now sits on the Board of Public Works. I have had the opportunity to work with CC really even before I started here working at the City of Los Angeles. I was able to work one-on-one with Commissioner Cabello even in the campaign for mayor back in 2012 and 2013. So that's the summary reason on why I nominate Commissioner Cabello for this post, and really just on a personal note, although I normally don't do that when I'm talking about nominating folks for office, but knowing Commissioner Cabello personally, I just think it would be a great fit for Commissioner Cabello with her willingness to do it, and that's why I put her nomination forward. Seconded by Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Garcia and Commissioner Jacinto. Well, we have to have a vote, so it's obvious.
And then I
So
will
I will-
say too.
Before we take a vote,
Yeah, I
Commissioner
just
Davis.
wanted to say that I think that very valuable will be the experience she's had working on budget. And I think bringing that talent to the Board of Public Works is going to be critically important for us as we move forward in trying to measure the performance of our various bureaus on the tasks that we have to perform and deliver for the citizens of Los Angeles. So I'm definitely excited about the budget experience she has and how valuable that's going to be to us. And then also I want to say that I believe that the commissioner will also be very helpful to us in joining Commissioner Garcia and making sure that gender equity is something that remains important, as well as diversity. I think that she will add some value to that as well. So I just wanted to make that comment in addition to the eloquent remarks that have been given on her behalf by our president, to say that I feel that those skills that she brings are going to be, again, critically important to what we're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner
Thank you,
Davis. Go ahead.
Commissioner. Any other comments? So we have a motion moved by President James, seconded by Commissioner Davis, Garcia, and Jacinto. Hearing no objections, congratulations, Vice President Cabello, to the Board of Public Works. With that said, the meeting is now returned back to the Chair, President James.
Let's stay right here, Dr. Campos. I think have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned, but before we adjourn, congratulations to Vice President Cabello. Thank you. Everybody have a great Monday. It's not Friday, it's Monday.